Exactly. If they don't believe there's a community, there are pictures, I tell them. If they don't believe that these are objections, you're diffusing objections. And a lot of, I don't know if you've seen those like salesy web pages that where you keep on scrolling indefinitely and they never end. I mean, a lot of them are like smart people who write them, but most are just dummies because, not dummies, but really limited in the way they think because they are trying to cover all of the objections using text. And that's why a lot of websites are so concise and extremely powerful at the same time. A lot of websites use a lot of text to get something very small across, right? And so, if I have a lot of objections, I don't have to start going through every single objection to diffuse them. I call diffuse them. You have an objection and then you diffuse it. So if you're not convinced about this or that, there are pictures. Pictures speak louder than words. Repetition is important, right? Because that's what sticks. That's why we have 2 buttons. That's why, I don't know if you've ever gotten also these salesy emails, and there's like a zillion PS's at the end. I mean, they're funny, but they work, because it's just repetition. Buy now, not convinced, there's this, okay, are you ready now, buy now, no, PSSSSS, buy now. And a lot of people, I mean, probably like 50% of the buyers click the first one, 20 click the second, 10 click the third. Why would you lose the 10%? Why would you lose the 20%? Of course, you could do it in an appealing way. Okay? Simon Sinek, who knows him? He was a TED speaker, and he gave a talk about how everybody, when they start communicating, they start with what, and how everybody should be starting with a why, and then getting to the what. He wrote a book about that, and it made him almost extremely famous in his industry. He gave a really tangible example about Apple versus Microsoft. And so, not Microsoft, Dell, sorry. And so he gave the example of Dell. So when Dell wants to communicate, what they do is they say, we sell computers, and they have this feature, and 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 they're the latest of all features, etc., etc. So they're telling you what they do. What Apple does, they tell you, we want to create a revolution. We want to create innovation. We want to inspire people to change themselves and the way around them. And we just happen to make computers. Right? These are his words, not mine. And so he emphasized on the power of why. He emphasized why Apple sells a lot more computers than Dell, because people who buy Apple, they don't buy computers, they buy a lifestyle. Because they connect with their emotions, they relate them. And of course, like I said in the beginning, you have to connect using emotions, but for it to last, you have to convince intellectually. And that's why if Apple made computers that suck, people would buy them at first and then it would collapse, the whole system would collapse. And that's why you start with why, you convince, you convey, you touch on the emotions, but then you have to cover the objections rationally.
And they've created a community, Apple community.
Of course, of course.
Some people talk about it as like a promise, and when we sort of did a lot of this thinking about how you might message in the last Saturday meeting that we did, and one of the points is basically you can start with the why, but you have to be able to deliver. If you cannot deliver, and I think you find people, they know it's sexy or it's appealing or it's whatever to say, oh, we can do this, or we're starting a revolution, or etc. But if you can't deliver, better to
of course,
lower your expectation, manage the expectations.
Of course. And that's the same thing about putting the word professionals there. Put it there, deliver the right venue, deliver everything, deliver the whole ecosystem that actually makes it happen. If it doesn't work, at least you know that you did everything that you know, or you thought of, or you should have.
There's one
Yes.
that I feel is because the way you stated them, well, the way you actually introduced them was like, okay, connect, convey, convince, and it's cyclical. And I notice it here. So really, when there is this kind of convincing, you're really going back to the connection. Because directly, for me, the thing that caught my attention was that I'm relating to you, so it's not formal. So okay, so it's with lots of love. So it's relational.
Right.
And at the same time, we are open. So at the end, we are available. We are always there. So it's not also about attending.
Right.
It's about meeting us and being with us.
Right.
So it started with the association and closed with the association.
Right.
And this is something that I noticed with the on Facebook, is that the good morning, which has nothing to do with like the TEDx, and it's just how you're doing, those are very strong. It's just like, and there's a convincing period, and then there's an association.
And this is something I have next. This is called, a lot of people call it the sandwich effect.
Okay.
Right? So you sandwich your content between a similar idea. Okay? And also what you talked about, all of this audience, we actually stated it, we named it. I'm going to read it out to you because I'm sure you can't read this. And there are two things that you could see from this. We would love to invite you to a gathering of professionals, contributors, corporate representatives, and executives. So professionals covers a big range of audience. When you start going specific into niches, you cover a lot more people. Not by being general, by being specific. And so, for example, if you want to sell more jeans, don't design one jeans for medium-sized people and small-sized people and all this. So not one jeans that fits all. Design for every single, not size, for every single.
Body type.
A lot of people call it personality profile or an individual profile. So I designed for William, and there is a lot of Williams, but Williams will absolutely love it. If you try to design something that suits a greater audience, they might like it. Right? And that's why I'm not going to say the name, but anyways, because that's going online, I don't want to be advertising.
We can cut it off.
We can,
Yeah.
but that was the point. So there's a company that sells one type of product to all of the Lebanese market. And for it to actually appeal to the Lebanese market, they have to do a lot of tricks. It's something that you drink, okay? So they had to do a lot of tricks for them to numb the taste buds, because if they want to be, what's the word? Courageous in the taste and really catering to your personal taste buds, then you would like it, but you wouldn't, and you wouldn't, and you wouldn't, and you wouldn't. And so they diluted the taste. They made it extremely cold so that when you're drinking it, the taste buds can't really taste anything below 6 degrees Celsius. And they advertise it as something that needs to be drunk extremely cold, so that it could appeal to a larger audience. Now this new company, this new startup, is creating a zillion type of beverages that are not going to sell much each, but they will cater to you personally, and they will cater to you personally, and they will cater to you personally. And they will probably in a few years sell more than the one company who has one product diluted to suit a mass audience, basically. And that's why also naming the niches within your audience creates a much more impact than just trying to catch them all in one word. Okay, so we would like to invite you to a gathering of professionals, contributors, corporate representatives, and executives in this final saloon. Bring your colleagues and friends, inspire and captivate them with TED Talks, reinforce bonds, or build new ones over sweet bites. Did anyone notice some of the things that we've been talking about? There are a lot of the things that I haven't shared yet, which I will.
It's not just for professionals. professionals. It's for bonding, friendships. It's like socializing. So it's not just your typical event. Your typical,
You're telling them exactly what to do.
yeah, exactly.
You're telling them their expectations.
We're telling them exactly what they initially anyways want to do or wish they could do. And that's what Hala talked about. I can't tell you what to do if you don't want to do it. Right? And so if you think, I mean we had I think 45 registrants from agencies. Right? And if you think of them, if you think of the agency world, I mean, where is it? Okay, they love to gather, they love to eat, they love to reinforce bond, they love to have fun, they love to inspire and captivate, they love to show off. And that's why we said inspire and captivate who? Your friends and colleagues. We didn't say come and be inspired and captivated, because professionals have an ego issue, most of them, or a lot of them. Right? And a lot of the time they would jump at the opportunity to inspire someone else. But they would step back once you say, come and I will inspire you. Right? That makes me more important than you are. You're a professional, you can't take that. Right? Understanding your audience. Okay. Does anyone know about Maslow's hierarchy of needs?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, so in a few words, we'll get to that, we'll cover those. In a few words, he basically has a pyramid. He starts with the most basic human instincts that a lot of us crave and want, to those that we crave least. And one of the ones that is extremely low in that pyramid is actually food.
Yeah.
Now this might seem funny and like manipulative and all this, but just having the word sweet bites and spending a couple of $100 to get some cookies to the event makes sure that a lot more people show up to the event, and a lot of them enjoy the event a lot more. It might seem silly, it might be like, okay, so just remove all the sweet bites, you lose 20% of attendees, because people respond to food. And this is very important because we're not manipulating them for a personal benefit. We're manipulating them to incite them to come and have an experience themselves. We're trying to do something that they will be thankful of, basically.
Just a small question.
Yes.
You talk about Maslow's pyramid, it's not just that what's on top is what you need later. It's like at the bottom is what you need to survive. It's not optional, but we all long to reach the belonging, love, etc. So when you talk about sweet bites, I think also it's very cultural.
It is.
We live here, and when you go to eat, you don't have a big plate. You have something, finger bite, and that's where you're like, you like that? Okay, I can talk to her, I'm less intimidated. That's very Mediterranean. You go to Holland, the food is like sandwich on the table, and that's it. And they don't even think that they need to put cookies on the table because it's not in their culture. So
Exactly.
I think, at the end of the day, if the purpose is to get professionals to mingle, you're not manipulating, you're just giving triggers that enable you to mingle, that reduce the fear barrier, the risk barrier, etc.
Exactly.
So, I would think of, I think that when you're talking about all you're engaging your audience, you're not manipulating. The premise of where you start from is very different because
Of course.
TEDx has its own following, and I can be from anywhere and happen to be in Beirut and want to go to TEDxBeirut. It's not a Beirut in the event that's attracting. It's the roles are reversed. So TEDx already has the hook and the bait, and what's happening is that we're lucky to be in the same pond today. So I think it also helps a lot your discussion because